All the staff avoided the rude billionaire, until the new waitress stood her ground. What if kindness could change the heart of someone who had forgotten how to be human? At Rosewood Diner, a cozy family restaurant that had served the community for 30 years, the evening shift held its breath every Tuesday at 7. That's when Harrison Blackwell would arrive in his midnight blue Bentley, phone pressed to his ear, already barking orders before his Italian leather shoes touched the worn linoleum floor. The 39-year-old tech mogul had made his billions by being ruthless, and he treated the restaurant staff like they were invisible obstacles in his path. Veteran waitress Carol had served tables for 22 years, but even she would duck into the kitchen when Harrison's car pulled up. The other staff members would suddenly find urgent tasks in the back, leaving whoever was unluckiest to endure his harsh words and impossible demands. Nobody expected that everything would change the night a gentle soul named Lily started her first shift, carrying with her a quiet strength that would transform not just one man's evening, but his entire world. "Where are you watching from tonight?" Lily Martinez had taken the job at Rosewood Diner out of necessity, not choice. At 34, she was a single mother trying to rebuild her life after her husband's passing 2 years earlier. Her 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, needed stability, and the diner's evening shift meant Lily could be home for breakfast and help with homework before work. She had worked in restaurants before, back in college, and she knew how to handle difficult customers. What she didn't know was that Harrison Blackwell was in a category all his own. "Listen, honey," Carol whispered during Lily's orientation, her weathered hands nervously adjusting her apron. "When the man in the expensive suit shows up on Tuesday nights, just make yourself scarce. Trust me on this. He's got a mouth on him that would make a sailor blush, and he treats us like we're nothing. Orders the salmon, always complains it's overcooked, never tips more than 5%, and makes whoever serves him feel about 2 inches tall." The other staff members nodded grimly. James, the cook who'd worked there since the Clinton administration, shook his graying head. "I've seen grown men quit after one encounter with that fellow. He's got more money than God and less kindness than the devil." Lily listened quietly, but something in her chest tightened. She'd spent the last 2 years learning that life was too short for unnecessary cruelty, and she'd promised herself she would never again let anyone make her feel small. Her late husband, Tony, had always said she had a spine of steel wrapped in velvet, and she was beginning to remember what that meant. When Tuesday evening arrived, the familiar tension filled the diner like smoke. The other waitresses busied themselves with side work, and Carol made sure to seat all her remaining tables far from Harrison's usual spot by the window. At exactly 7 o'clock, the Bentley pulled up, and through the glass doors walked a man who carried himself like he owned not just the restaurant, but the entire world. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his suit probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, and his expression suggested that everyone around him was a personal inconvenience. The evening that would change everything was about to begin. Harrison strode to his usual table without waiting to be seated, his phone call echoing through the quiet diner. "I don't care what the shareholders think, Rodriguez. If they can't handle the heat, they shouldn't have invested in a tech company. Now, fix the quarterly projections before I have to fix them myself." He snapped the phone shut and glanced around impatiently, expecting immediate service. Lily watched from behind the counter as the other staff members suddenly became very interested in cleaning tasks that kept them far away. Carol shot her a warning look, but Lily was already reaching for her order pad. Something about the man's loneliness struck her. Beneath all that bluster and expensive clothing, she saw someone who ate dinner alone every Tuesday night, surrounded by people who feared him. "Good evening," Lily said warmly, approaching his table with the same genuine smile she gave every customer. "I'm Lily, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with something to drink?" Harrison looked up, surprised. Most servers approached his table like they were walking to their execution. This woman, petite with kind brown eyes and graying temples that suggested hard-won wisdom, seemed genuinely pleased to see him. For a moment, he was thrown off his game. "Coffee, black. And I want the salmon, but tell your cook not to destroy it like he did last week. I don't have time for incompetence." His voice carried its usual edge designed to establish dominance immediately. Lily nodded calmly, not flinching at his tone. "I'll make sure James knows you prefer it prepared just right. How would you like that cooked? Medium or medium rare?" "Medium rare, obviously. And I want the vegetables actually seasoned this time, not just steamed into flavorless mush. Can your kitchen handle that, or should I lower my expectations even further?" Instead of scurrying away, hurt and intimidated, Lily maintained her composure. "Absolutely. James has been cooking here for over 15 years, and he takes real pride in his work. I think you'll be pleased with tonight's preparation." Harrison stared at her, unused to anyone responding to his rudeness with such grace. There was something in her eyes, not fear or anger, but a quiet strength that reminded him of someone from long ago. As Lily walked toward the kitchen, Carol hurried over. "Honey, you don't understand. That man will tear you apart if you give him any opening. He's made 3 servers cry this month alone." Lily smiled softly. "He's just forgotten how to be treated with kindness. Sometimes people need to be reminded. If this moment touched your heart, please give the video a thumbs up." Little did anyone know that Lily's gentle approach was about to crack open something Harrison had kept locked away for decades. When Lily returned with Harrison's coffee, she noticed him staring at a small photograph tucked partially into his wallet. Before he could hide it, she caught a glimpse of a young boy with Harrison's same dark eyes, laughing on a swing set. The image was worn around the edges, suggesting it had been handled many times over many years. "Your son?" she asked gently, setting down the coffee with steady hands. Harrison's face hardened instantly. "That's none of your business. Just bring my food and keep your observations to yourself." But his hand trembled slightly as he shoved the wallet into his jacket pocket, and Lily caught the flash of pain that crossed his features. She could have walked away then. Every other server would have. Instead, she pulled out the chair across from him and sat down for just a moment. "I lost my husband 2 years ago," she said quietly. "I know what it's like to carry a hurt so deep you think being cruel to others might somehow make it hurt less." Harrison's jaw clenched. "You don't know anything about me or my life. Get up and do your job before I speak to your manager about your inappropriate behavior." "His name was Tony," Lily continued, her voice gentle but unwavering. "He was only 38 when the cancer took him. Left me with our daughter and a world that suddenly felt too big and too empty. I was angry for a long time. Angry at God, angry at the unfairness, angry at people who still had their whole families when mine was broken. I almost let that anger turn me into someone I wouldn't recognize." Harrison's composure was cracking. Just stop talking and bring my food. The boy in the picture, he had your eyes. How long has it been since you've seen him?" The question hit Harrison like a physical blow. His carefully constructed armor of cruelty began to crumble, and for the first time in 8 years, tears threatened to surface. He's not my son anymore. His mother made sure of that when she divorced me. Said I cared more about building my empire than building a relationship with my family. She was right." Lily reached across the table and gently touched his hand. "Children forgive more easily than we think they will. Sometimes we just have to find the courage to ask." The restaurant had gone completely quiet. Even from the kitchen, James was watching this unprecedented scene unfold. Have you ever faced something like this? Let us know in the comments. Harrison Blackwell, the man who had terrorized staff and commanded boardrooms, was about to face the most important decision of his life. Harrison pulled his hand away, but the damage was done. 8 years of buried grief and regret came flooding to the surface. "You don't understand," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I missed his birthday parties, his school plays, his baseball games. I was always working, always chasing the next deal, the next billion. By the time I realized what I'd lost, it was too late. He was 12 when the divorce was finalized. Now he's 20 and he won't even return my calls." Lily's eyes filled with compassion. "What's his name?" "Christopher. Chris." Harrison's voice was barely audible. "He wanted to be a chef when he was little. Used to stand on a stepping stool in our kitchen, making scrambled eggs that were mostly burned. I used to complain about the mess instead of celebrating his creativity. And now you come here every Tuesday night," Lily said softly, understanding dawning. "Eating alone, pushing people away before they can disappoint you or leave you. But honey, isolation isn't protection. It's just another kind of dying. James emerged from the kitchen carrying Harrison's salmon, but he stopped when he saw the scene at the table. This wasn't the same arrogant businessman who had berated his cooking for months. This was a broken father who had lost his way. "Your meal, sir," James said gently, setting the plate down with unusual care. "I made sure it's prepared exactly the way you like it." Harrison looked up at James with fresh eyes. I owe you an apology. I've been unconscionably rude to you and everyone here." "You didn't deserve that." James nodded, his own eyes misty. "We all carry burdens, sir." "No apology needed." Lily stood up slowly. "Harrison, it's never too late to try. Love doesn't have an expiration date, and children, even grown ones, need their fathers. Maybe it's time to stop punishing yourself and start rebuilding." Harrison stared at his untouched salmon, then reached for his phone. His hands shook as he scrolled through his contacts, stopping at a number he'd memorized but never had the courage to call. What if he hangs up? What if he doesn't want to hear from me? What if he's been waiting for you to call? Lily countered. What if he's been hoping his father would finally choose him over pride? If you've been enjoying this story, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. Harrison took a deep breath, and for the first time in 8 years, chose love over fear. 3 months later, the Tuesday evening routine at Rosewood Diner had completely transformed. Harrison still arrived at 7 o'clock, but now he came through the door with a smile, always stopping to greet James in the kitchen and ask about his granddaughter's soccer games. The Bentley's passenger seat was no longer empty. Christopher had started joining his father for their weekly dinners, their relationship slowly healing over shared meals and honest conversations. "Dad, you should have seen Lily's face when you offered to pay for that family's entire meal last week," Christopher said, cutting into his own salmon. He'd grown into a handsome young man with his father's intelligence and his mother's gentle heart. "I think you made her cry happy tears." Harrison chuckled, a sound that would have been impossible just months earlier. "She changed my life, Chris. I want to change others' lives, too. It feels good, really good." Lily approached their table with warm coffee refills and her trademark smile. "How are my 2 favorite gentlemen tonight?" "Actually, we have some news," Harrison said, his eyes twinkling. "Chris is going to culinary school in the fall. He's decided to follow his childhood dream after all. And Dad's funding a scholarship program for single parents who want to go back to school," Christopher added proudly. "He's calling it the Second Chances Foundation." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Harrison." Tony would have loved that. He always said the best way to honor the people we've lost is to love the people we still have more fiercely. As the evening wound down, Harrison left his usual modest tip and instead placed 5 crisp $100 bills on the table. "For the scholarship fund," he told Lily quietly. "And to thank you for reminding me that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest thing in the world." After they left, Carol shook her head in amazement. "In 22 years of waitressing, I've never seen anything like it." "That woman worked a miracle." Lily smiled as she cleared their table, finding a handwritten note underneath the bills. It read, "Dear Lily, thank you for seeing the father in me when I'd forgotten he existed. Christopher and I are planning a camping trip next month, our first real vacation together since he was small. You gave me back my son and taught me how to be human again. With endless gratitude, Harrison. P.S. James's cooking has always been excellent. I was just too bitter to taste it." The transformation of Harrison Blackwell became legendary in their small town, but Lily never saw it as anything miraculous. She'd simply treated a hurting person with the kindness she wished someone had shown her during her darkest days. Sometimes the most profound changes begin with the smallest acts of grace, a gentle word, a listening ear, the courage to see past someone's armor to the wounded heart beneath. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Thank you for joining us tonight, and remember, it's never too late to choose kindness over bitterness, connection over isolation, and love over fear. Until next time, May your own heart remain open to the possibility that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, and sometimes your kindness might be exactly what they need to find their way home.